the reason is because these are the two newer companies coming out of the Fiore Group, which is Frank Giustra's back office and where he's put his individual investments. And I think Rick wanted to show, kind of highlight the quality of projects that are coming out of the Fiore Group. So Rick Rule talks a lot about panic and pounce. And I like to think that this is the type of opportunity in the copper space, it's the moment to pounce. There has been a strong movement this year in gold equities, and we've seen gold equities outpace gold price, and we see a big move now coming in silver, and those green shoots are stemming out, and why Frank wanted to get behind copper. I think people have seen copper on the headlines of The Economist, right? But the equities haven't moved, but the demand keeps continuing to grow. And right now it feels like, especially with tariffs, supply chains, the timing is critical. So I'd like to tell you about the story of making of Copper Giant. It's a story about a property, people, sponsorship, and that timing. Obviously, lots of forward-looking segments. Do your own due diligence. I don't have time to tell in 10 minutes to tell the whole copper story, but I can tell you one thing. This is what the majors look for. They're looking for a 2 billion ton project, 0.5% metal content in a copper or copper equivalent, which contains 10 million tons of copper. If this was a gold project at today's prices, that's a 35 million ounce gold deposit. That puts it into perspective. They also want it to be low capex. They want it to be better than the brownfields expansions that they've been doing for years and they can't do it anymore. And they want it to be able to happen fast. They're looking for unicorns right now. They're scrambling for unicorns, and that's why they're continuing to consolidate between each other. But that is what the world wants right now. So let's move to Copper Giant. Copper Giant is a deposit in Colombia called Mocoa. It is a team that I would like to go deeper into that has experience, and it's got the backing of Frank Giustra coming out of the Fiore Group. First, the team. Myself, I'm a mining engineer. I was a part of the construction of the Mirador project in Ecuador, the first industrial scale mine in the history of Ecuador. Joined together with me is Ernie Mast, who was CEO of Inmet's Cobre Panama. So of 2 of the 6 largest copper mines built in the last 10 years, we were a part of 2 of them. So 1/3 of all those projects built. So we look for projects that can be built. That's why I showed you the first slide, because that is what the world wants to build. We're in Colombia in the Jurassic Belt, which is, if you want to look for big copper, you look at it in the Andes from Chile all the way through Panama. Is 12 of the 20 largest copper mines in the world. Between just Chile and Peru, even though production continues to be moving north, is the equivalent in copper production is the equivalent to OPEC in oil, just 2 countries. So all of it is consolidated along this thin line that runs across the Andes through Chile, Argentina, and up through Peru, through Ecuador, through Colombia. So this is the jurisdiction, and Frank is no stranger to Colombia. He helped found Aris, the largest mining company in the country. His old days was in oil and gas, and you have joining me in Tiana in Colombia. I live in Colombia, and live in Colombia to make sure these type of projects continue to move forward, and we'll go into that. So on share structure, 29% is Fiore Group, including 13% by Frank. We have purchased every single one of the units that we have inside this company and this, as we've been cleaning things up. And I'd like to think that we're working currently on one of the last catalysts that we need is the funding of the rest of this year's exploration, which I'll get into in the final. But I guess you probably want to more hear about the asset. And the asset is Mocoa in Colombia. As I explained, it's in the Jurassic Belt. But first of all, it's a starting point of a very significant deposit. It was inherited in 2018 from B2 Gold, where we had an inherited resource estimate. And so a resource estimate was done. But we realized quickly that we had to go beyond and demonstrate to market that this was much more than just the original resource estimate. But it's a pretty good starting point. At 1.5 kilometers in strike, over 1,000 meters deep, almost 1 kilometer wide, and open in every single direction. If you see those little white dots that are on the top of that ridgeline, that was the original drilling on this project. But the big thing and the magic thing that we've discovered recently, and a part of the name change to Copper Giant, was when we went and we looked at all the old information, we're retesting, we did some of the original drilling, we confirmed the old drilling, and looked at the geology, and we realized that this project has been formed over 10 million years. The only project, copper project in the world that has been formed over a longer period of time that I know of is Chuquicamata, which is probably the biggest open pit copper mine in the world. So as these projects form over these many years, my project Mirador was 3 million years, right? Bingham Canyon was 2.5 million years. So it means that copper was being pumped into this system all around. And we said we might be just looking at the tail of an elephant. And the advantage you can see as it's formed over 10 million years, you have multiple pulses of copper going over and over and over again. And if you've ever seen some of the core from Makoa, you see these high-grade breccias that also add that extra bit that you need on these styles of projects. This is the only slide, unfortunately, in 10 minutes that I have on this item. But it's also probably the third largest moly project in the world. So a lot of the grade that is carried in the project, about a third of it is actually moly, right? And it's because of 10 million years, every time a pulse came in, the moly content went up and up and up. And moly, by the way, is one of those restricted metals that China is now saying we're no longer going to be exporting. So this is a metal that is becoming more and more in demand, and it's almost as big as the largest pure moly project that I know currently out there. But I'd rather talk to you about copper and how we're going to get to that project of merit, that first slide that I showed you on the screen, what we're doing. Because I'm a mining engineer. I like to build mines. I want these to become projects, and how do we get there, right? We have an existing resource. I said, okay, how do we grow this? Can it grow? And we obviously said yes, or we wouldn't have got behind this project. But we have an inferred resource that shows that we have about 2.9 million tons of copper contained within the resource area. We did some additional drilling. We did an update, domain-controlled, constrained resource exploration target to say, nearby, where can we get the extra tons? And we showed that it could grow 2 to 3 times bigger just around the deposit area. And I said, now we have it. We can get to that 2 billion tons. We can get to that 10 million tons of contained copper. And we can get it to the grade that the world wants that would put it to one of the biggest copper projects in all of South America. And if you look down that list, the other interesting thing you notice is probably only 3 of them are in a junior mining company. All the rest have been bought or controlled by majors because that's what they want. So for timing, you can see every single hole that has come out of this project so far has been one of the top copper holes in the world. Just yesterday, I saw the best copper hits. Remember, a third of our value is moly, but just looking at copper alone, it came out on the top 10 one more time, but it's not a hole. It's every hole that has been put onto this project. It's come out to be a killer, wonderful project, but we're all set up today. We've got 2 drills running. One is drilling just finished the yellow line. It's now going to go to the northeast, and we had the second drill now mobilized to put in the last catalyst into place. And with the remaining time I have, I'll explain that last little piece. We are currently, and why is this a pounce moment? We're currently trading for 0.2 cents per pound in the ground, based on our existing resource, not even where we're going and where we can take this thing to at the next stage. Our next closest competitor that has a decent copper porphyry and is moving forward is at 1 cent per pound in the ground. And good guys are trading at 4 to 5 cents, right? We've remobilized this project. We now have 2 drills on this project. We know where we're going, and we know how to we're de-risking the further expansion. And the only last thing that we had into is how we're going to pay for it. And we obviously announced a financing yesterday for those who saw the news for $5 million, which will cover all our drilling costs to get us to the next stage of the game. So we've put all the catalysts in place to be able to make a significant re-rating on this company. So I believe that we should soon be moving between that 0.2 cents per pound in the ground, much closer at stage 1 to that 1 cent, and be on a journey where this project continues to grow and grow and grow. From the $16 million market cap that we are currently on to closer to where Corriente, the project I was on, when it sold for $690 million 10 years ago. On final things, and it's the type everybody wants. It's a project that is near surface. It has a high-grade core to the deposit, right? A lot of these great, wonderful copper projects that were ahead of us in that list are 1,000 meters underground. We are close to surface and have this beautiful starter pit that could start near surface, and we are close to significant infrastructure. Mirador was the cheapest new greenfields project in the world per pound of copper produced. And we still had to build a port, and we had to build a power line. This one has a power line that goes right by the project. It's right off a road. It goes right to a port that can handle port exportation, and it's near surface. And it will be exactly what the entire world is looking for, based on an experience of how to build these types of big, big projects into future mines. Thank you.